His brain was boiled in a ritual pot used for human and animal remains. 21-year-old Mark Kilroy was a pre-med student at the University of Texas in Austin. Friends described him as intelligent, kind, and someone who had his whole future ahead of him. His dream was simple, and that was to become a doctor. In March of 1989, Mark and 3 of his friends traveled to South Padre Island for spring break. After spending several days at the beach and parties, they decided to cross the border into Matamoros, Mexico, which was a popular spot for college students at the time. They spent the evening bar hopping before ending up at a bar called Los Sombreros. Around 2 a.m., the night is ending and they decide to walk back to the Gateway International Bridge to head back to Texas. But that's when everything changed. Mark stopped for a moment to say goodbye to a girl that he had been talking to that night, and his friends continued walking, assumed that he would just catch up to them in a couple of minutes, but he never did. When he didn't meet up with his friends, they assumed maybe he went to get some food or went to another bar, so they started searching for him in the area, but there was no sign of him. And by sunrise, they knew that something had to be terribly wrong. Once Mark's family found out about this, they rushed to Mexico as authorities launched a massive search. His father spent days handing out flyers and begging anyone to come forward with any kind of information. Mark's case quickly made national headlines, and the US and Mexico authorities were working together to find him. But days turned into weeks and every lead went nowhere. Then, nearly 3 weeks after Mark's disappearance, investigators made a discovery that they never expected. Police were conducting an anti-drug operation near Matamoros when a truck sped through the checkpoint without stopping. Officers followed that car and it brought them to Santa Elena Ranch. And what they found there was beyond horrifying. At this ranch, there was ritual altars, strange ceremonial objects, human remains, and a large metal pot filled with evidence of ritual activity. It was immediately clear that this wasn't just a drug operation. This property was owned by a man named Adolfo Constanzo, and he was obsessed with Afro-Caribbean religious tradition. And with this, he convinced his followers that his rituals could protect them from police, cartels, and bullets. As his influence grew, so did his cult. They truly believed that human sacrifice would bring them supernatural protection and success. After several members of that cult were arrested, one of them confessed. He told investigators they chose Mark completely at random. He stated that as part of the ritual, they were looking for a young white American boy, and he was just there at the wrong place, wrong time. On the night of Mark's disappearance, he was kidnapped and taken to a field where Adolfo used a machete to chop the back of his neck and head. His brain was then boiled in an African metal pot that was used to stew human and animal remains. Once they were finished with Mark, they then buried his corpse. Mark's remains were buried on the ranch next to several other victims. Now, the leader Adolfo was not on the ranch when cops were